think it's certainly true that visual snow syndrome has evolved in terms of its recognition in the medical community. 15, 20 years ago, it was just, well, it didn't exist. No one really said it. And when we started saying it, people were very reluctant. I've had people tell me I was just mad, frankly, in words like that, to be even interested. Why was I wasting my time on the problem? And it was quite negative at the start. It's been a slow process. I think we've come a long way, because I think now that there are a good proportion of physicians, certainly eye doctors and neurologists, who not only accept but take an interest in the problem. And that's been a community effort, not just me, the whole community, and the visual and the patients. The Visual Snow Initiative has been really important in doing this. I think, and this is my prejudice, this is how I started when I first started having conversations with patients about this, is that you can't argue with biology. It's not quite mathematics, but good biology is good biology. And I think it's the biological studies, particularly the brain imaging, which it's so concrete, and all the methods lead to the same conclusion. And it could be that we've just been making the same mistake in different ways over a decade. But I think most people accept that actually there's a thing there, and you can show them more or less the biology. And I think once you've got a biological story, then you can sort of wiggle all you like, but it's hard to get away from the biology. So I think that's probably been the most important contribution to really, I might say, rehabilitating the problem into the mainstream. When I look back at the research on visual snow, it seems like it's yesterday, but there comes a time in your life when everything seems like yesterday. So if I was to look back, it's taken about 10 to 12 years to get from where we were, which was nowhere, 12 years, to where we are now, which is certainly somewhere. Another important dimension of the research, I think, was the definition, to be able to make sure that people that we work with in Australia, for example, or in Colorado, all talk the same language. So the definition system. I think as that gets more widely promulgated, it becomes a lot easier to do research. You can join the dots up better. And I think sometimes it's kind of boring to collect people together and just, fill in pieces of paper. But if you don't do the legwork, you don't do that build a foundation, you never get anywhere. And classification in that way is really very important. Compared to 12 years ago, you could say we've learned everything. Because I think it's fair to say that if you went back 12 years ago, not much longer than that it just wasn't a thing. It wasn't in anyone's radar, really didn't exist from a definitional point of view. I think the first thing we've learned is how homogenous, how similar it is. It's extraordinary to me, and it says something about the biology, that if someone tells me about visual snow in downtown New York, and they tell me about visual snow in Tokyo or Sydney, it's the same. They say the same thing. That says something to me about fundamentally the biology is the same. So it's going to be tractable. It goes to the reality of the problem. It tells you that it must be some part of the brain, obviously, that's shared. Most of our bits of our brain are shared, but the biology is common. And I think that's been one of the more helpful things in really driving home to people. Someone's not making this up. It is what it is, and therefore get on with it, grow up, take a deep breath, and then try and understand it. I think that homogeneity has been really crucial. And then the other thing I think, which is that we've been able to tag some real biology into it. And the combination of the homogeneity that will predict the biology, it all makes sense. The more you find out about this problem, the more it makes sense. And that tells you that it's tractable. Things that make sense are tractable. I hope I see it defeated in some way. I'm happy to have kicked off the process of the understanding. In the next 5 to 10 years, I would hope that we've got the definitional systems completely sorted out. We're working on trying to get it into the international classification of disorders, the ICD codes, because it needs to be something that everyone can sign into, so to speak, sign up to. So it's a definitional thing. And I know I've emphasised that a little bit in what I've said, but I do think it's terribly important that it's all singing from the same hymn sheet, we all say the same thing. And if you get recognised with the problem, doesn't matter where you're recognised, you get the same treatment. In 5 to 10 years, I'd be disappointed if we didn't have at least a direction, a sort of smell in the air of what the treatment's going to be. And I think we're kind of going there. Cure, I'd love to cure lots of things, but I'm going to be, I won't say I'm be satisfied, but if I could just have, instead of saying to people, you've got visual snow, I think of it as a journey. When I first started, what I said was, you don't have migraine. Okay, it's hopeless. Now I can say, you do have visual snow. I'd like to be able to say, you don't have migraine, you do have visual snow, and here's how I'm going to treat you. And that will be the third part for me.